What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching another video. Today we're going to be working on the S3 and we're going to be doing a spark plug change, and there's a very specific reason why, because I'm running a spark plug in my car currently that you should not run anymore. And if you guys are part of the MQB platform community, whether you have a Volkswagen or an Audi, you probably know what spark plug I'm referring to, and those are the OEM RS7 spark plugs. They've been causing a lot of issues, a lot of engine failures, a lot of different things, and guys, if you're running them, I suggest you stop running them. I'll explain a little bit more why as the video progresses, but I'm going to be showing you what plugs I'm going to be putting into my car today, and again, explain a little bit why you shouldn't be using the RS7 spark plugs anymore. So I'm going to be running these spark plugs. They are the Denso Iridium. Their code number is 5749. These plugs have been recommended by many tuners now. They've been doing a great job and they haven't been causing as many problems as the RS7 spark plugs. These are the go-to plug now. They're not too expensive, a little more than the RS7 spark plugs, but again, to avoid having to spend 5 to 10 grand on an engine or just a little over $100 to do a spark plug change at the correct intervals for maintenance, I think it's much better to obviously do the spark plugs than to replace an entire engine. Now, this video isn't to scare anybody. If you're running the RS7 spark plugs without any issues, just keep it in mind to just be careful, but they've been causing a lot of failures. Nobody knows if it's user error installing them or they're just some kind of defect with that plug when it comes to running them in these cars. I haven't had any problems personally. I'm doing this as a preventative measure so I don't blow my engine up in case one of the ground straps on the spark plug break off, which is what's been going on. A lot of the ground straps, the tips of these spark plugs have been falling off, breaking off, going into the engine, going into the combustion chamber, and it's been literally making holes in people's engine, destroying pistons, bending rods. It's been doing so many things, a lot of damage. Some people get lucky and it doesn't cause any damage. It'll just shoot out the back of the exhaust and you'll get super lucky, and others have had to literally rebuild their engines and do a bunch of stuff because they've been running these plugs. Now, another disclaimer, the RS7 spark plug is probably the most commonly used plug, which is probably why you hear a lot of failures from them, because something that you use the most in anything is probably going to have the highest failure rate too. But it just looks like there's been a very high uptick in failures in the RS7 spark plugs when people are using them. So now a lot of tuners are going to use other plugs that have not had really any issues, and there's something a lot different about these Denso plugs that I'll show you now compared to one of the RS7 plugs. So I'm going to pull all the plugs out of my S3 and I'm going to show you the difference between the RS7 plug and the 5749 plug from Denso, and you're going to see a very big difference and why these plugs are probably going to do much better and have practically no issues for anybody that runs them. So I've already done a spark plug video, so I don't really want to go over the basics of how to change the spark plugs in this car. So we're just going to do a talk over as I pull out the plugs so I can show you guys the difference between the RS7 plugs and the new Denso plugs that I'm going to be running in my car. So I'm just going to be pulling all of this out, swapping out the plugs, and I'm going to be showing you the difference between the RS7 plug and the Denso plug that I'm going to be running in this car. So like I said, guys, I haven't ran into any issues on my RS7 plugs. This is my second set. My first one I did, oh my god, like 20 passes at the track or more, and I didn't have any issues whatsoever. Nothing broke, never had misfires with them. But again, I'm just doing it as like a preventative maintenance. I don't want to have any issues with something breaking and then I have to build my engine when I'm just not in the position to do it, or I can, but it's kind of like it'll just be so out of left field to have to do something like that right now. And I just don't want to have to deal with that and have the car be down for a couple of months while it's getting built. And plus, you know, I don't have any upgraded parts for, like, you know, no turbo, no fuel system. So it's like it'll be such a huge cost in one shot that I'm just not in the mood to have that happen. So again, I don't want to scare nobody that's running these plugs. It's not the, you know, the biggest thing in the world to be running them, but just be careful. If you're gapping them, be careful. If you're going to be running them, no one's saying that your car's going to immediately blow up. That's not the case. It's just they've been failing at a higher rate recently, and if I can help a few of you save your engine by telling you what better plug you can run for a little more money, I'm going to do that, because that's why I make these videos, to basically give you guys as much information as I know and I can on this platform. So let me pull these out and then we'll get back into it. So I'm going to be pulling out the first plug right now, and I want to show you guys the difference between the Denso plugs and the RS7 plugs. Now the RS7 plugs, you could be running the NGK version, which I believe is plug number 91006, or you could be running the OEM version of them. I don't have the part number off the top of my head, really long part number, but it'll be the OEM Volkswagen Audi RS7 plug. So let me pull this one out. Here we go. And to be honest, I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty good. It looks really nice. These plugs only have like 2,000 miles on them, 3,000 miles on them at most. So that also explains it. But let me show you guys now. Let me take the camera off the tripod and I'll show you. All right, guys, so this is the NGK version of the RS7 plug. And you can see it has the regular ground strap. Mine's perfect. The plugs look in really good shape, actually. But this piece up here, the tip is what breaks off, goes into the engine, and then destroys it pretty much. So that's what's been going on with a lot of people recently, and that's why I'm going to be swapping them out. These only have like 2,000 or 3,000 miles on them, and then stay right there. And now these are the Denso ones. As you can see, the difference with these, if this would focus, is that they have like a slant projected tip. So the tip on the plug is slanted. So that's what the difference is. And the good thing is you don't need to gap these either. So the gap is already set and you're good to go. You drop them in and you can run them. The thing with the RS7 plug is that sometimes they come gapped properly and sometimes you need to gap them, which I think that's where the issue might come. And looks like the gap hasn't lifted on this plug, which is great. But again, we're gonna be swapping to the Densos because I don't wanna have any issues. So let's throw these in the car and go from there. So now we're going to be putting in the new Denso plugs because I'm not trying to have any more issues with any plugs. Well, not that I had issues, but any possible issues. The plugs look great, don't get me wrong. Again, I've ran them without issue for so many miles now, and my second set, I've been tuned for many of them, a lot of passes, hard driving, and the car's been perfect. I have no complaints about them. And again, this video isn't to cause fear in anybody. I don't want nobody to think because you're running these plugs, you're gonna have, you know, issues right off the bat. You're not. It's just, again, just preventative maintenance to not have any issues. So we're just gonna be swapping all of them out, putting in the new plugs, and then we're going to be looking at the old plugs, see if there's anything weird. And I'm probably going to be keeping these plugs as a backup anyway, just in case, you know, some random misfire happens on the way home from whatever. I have a plug that I can throw in, so I'm going to be keeping them anyway just because they have super low miles on them, and it would be kind of a shame to throw them out for no reason, especially if they could work for this or even my GTI if I need it in an emergency situation. So here are all four plugs. They actually look pretty good, like I said before. I pulled all of them, nothing weird. They're not white, they're not too black either, so it wasn't running, you know, too lean, too rich. The car was running very well. And to be honest, again, it's a shame to have to just change the plugs out super quickly. But again, I'm just trying to prevent any kind of issue in the future if something were to go wrong with these plugs. And I just feel more comfortable using a plug that's recommended by most of the tuners now, which are the Denso plugs that I'll leave a link in the description to. But again, I'll keep these as a backup just in case if my GTI needs something, or if this car needs a plug for some weird reason, a random misfire, I'll have them in the car, so I won't have any issues with that. I'm gonna start the car and make sure that, you know, there's no misfire, nothing weird. Okay. Okay. So, no, we're good. Car's running very smooth. So it looks like everything went well. Hopefully these plugs hold up like they're intended to, like they're recommended by the tuners, but all in all, a success. Glad that it is all on, working well, so very good. So that's gonna conclude the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This isn't meant to put fear in you if you're running these spark plugs. It's just to be cautious and keep it in the back of your mind that just if you didn't follow the steps installing them properly, or didn't gap them the right way, or any little thing, you might want to either recheck your plugs every so often, or just switch over to a plug that's been recommended by many tuners already, which is this Denso 5749 plug. So again, just keep it in mind. I had no problems with the RS7 spark plugs. I just did this as a preventative maintenance because I didn't want to have any issues. If something weird happens, I take this car to the drag strip a lot. I drive the car hard when I do, and I don't want to have any kind of little hiccup with this car, breaking a ground strap and then blowing an engine because of that. It's just not worth it. So I'd rather spend $100 now than $5 grand to 10 grand on an engine later down the line. So it's better just to do that. But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, not trying to make anybody scared with this spark plug video. It's just, again, keep it in the back of your mind if you are running the RS7 spark plugs. A lot of people run them without any issues, but there's just been a big uptick in issues recently. So a lot of tuners are staying away from that plug and going to other plugs that really don't have any sort of failure rate. But please like, comment, and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.